Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari confirms Abdulaziz as TCN MD. Federal government observes alliance between bandits and Boko Haram. International Court declares Ukraine crime scene. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in our news tonight is a report that President Muhammad Buhari has confirmed Engineer Sule Abdulaziz as the substantive managing director and chief executive officer of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. This was announced in a statement by the company's general manager, public affairs, Ndidi Mba. Abdulaziz was first appointed acting managing director of the federal government-owned TCN on May 19, 2020. Following the sacking of Usman Mohammed. Mba explained that the TCN boss had been responsible for the overall supervision of the affairs of the company, including transmission projects, transmission network operations, and maintenance, and system operations. Meanwhile, President Buhari has sworn in commissioners for the National Population Commission (NPC) and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC). The swearing-in took place before the commencement of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House, Abuja. The commissioners who were confirmed by Senate last month are Benedict Effiong from Akwa Ibom, Gloria Izonfo from Bayelsa, Kopchi Patricia from Benue, Haliru Bala from Kebbi, and Eyitayo Oyetunji from Oyo State for the National Population Commission. Away from that, Vice President Yemi Osibanjo has formally briefed the All Progressives Congress APC caucus in the Senate concerning his presidential ambition and sought their support. The briefing, which was part of Osibanjo's consultations with critical stakeholders, was held over the iftar dinner at his official residence at Aguda House within the presidential villa, Abuja. The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, who led the APC senators to the villa, told reporters that Osibanjo had expressed his interest and consulted with the Senate APC caucus. In another development, the federal government says the ongoing terrorist activities in the north, including the recent attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train, are being carried out by an alliance of bandits and Boko Haram elements. Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Magashi and his information and culture counterpart Lai Mohammed stated this while fielding questions from correspondents after the week's virtual Federal Executive Council meeting. They also said the government was working at various levels to get victims of the train attack who were abducted from the train by terrorists out of captivity. The government assured Nigerians that it had the whole situation under control. Meanwhile, as the 2023 general elections draw near, the federal government has reiterated that the administration of President Muhammad Buhari is committed to the freedom of the press and will never be a threat to the media. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, gave their reassurance when a delegation from the International Press Institute, Nigeria chapter, paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja. He said Nigeria had one of the most vibrant and free press in the world, and the administration was not about to stifle press freedom or deny the people's constitutionally guaranteed rights. Mohammed clarified that some people had misconstrued the government's efforts to ensure a responsible use of social media as an attempt to tamper with press freedom or threaten independent journalism. Away from that, a non-governmental organization, the Young Mentors Community Care Initiatives, has called for urgent policies to discourage early marriage for underage girls in Nigeria. The executive director of the NGO, Khadijat Abdullahi, made the call in Abuja at a program hosted in recognition of the annual April 12 International Day for Street Children. The day acknowledges the strength and resilience of millions of street children around the world. He said there was need for government and stakeholders to push more to discourage the age-long tradition of early child marriage. In a separate development, the investigative panel set up by the Accountant General of the Federation has cleared the Director of Finance and Account in the Ministry of Justice, Joshua Kadmi, of any wrongdoing. The panel said payment by the director was done with requisite approving authority. It said the allegation bordering on money in Ghana must go, bags, burial the change, among others, could not be substantiated with facts by the petitioner, and the team considered it null and void. The panel also justified Lucas' defense that no payment was made in the ministry without the approval of the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary. It said all the expenditures incurred by the ministry from November to December 2021 were in the Appropriation Act of 2021. To judicial matters now, where a court of appeal in Abuja has lifted the movement restriction on human rights activist and convener of Revolution Now, Omoyele Sowore. The appeal court ruled that Sowore could now leave Abuja, but not travel out of Nigeria. The court said the restriction of the 2023 presidential aspirant to Abuja was excessive and therefore lifted it. It could be recalled that Sowore was in 2019 restricted to Abuja by a federal high court following charges of treasonable felony and cyber stalking President Muhammadu Buhari, among other offenses. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court in Abuja has affirmed the 6-year imprisonment imposed on a former federal director of pensions, John Yusuf, for misappropriating 22.9 billion naira police pensions fund. The Apex Court also ordered Yusuf to refund the 22.9 billion naira to the federal government coffers. It could be recalled that Yakubu was imprisoned in 2018 by the Abuja Court of Appeal for defrauding the federal government of the police pension fund. On legislative matters now, members of the House of Representatives have again voiced their displeasure over the continued killings by bandits and terrorist groups in the country. They therefore called on the federal government to engage the services of mercenaries to supplement the efforts of security agencies in containing the situation. In addition to this, the lawmakers renewed their call on President Muhammadu Buhari to declare a state of emergency in the security sector. They took the decisions during the plenary at the lower chamber of the National Assembly in Abuja. These followed debates on 2 motions bordering on the recent attacks by bandits in Plateau and those of killer herdsmen in Benue State. Away from that, the Independent National Electoral Commission has raised fears that more than 45% of the total number of registered voters were found to be invalid as of January 14, 2022. INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu stated this during a press conference in Abuja, where he also expressed concern over security challenges during the election. Yakubu said 1,390,519 permanent voter cards were valid, describing the situation as challenging. He said the commission would continue to clean up the voter register. Meanwhile, the INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in Kwara, Garba Madami, has cautioned political parties against conducting their primary elections outside designated constituencies. Madami gave the warning in Ilorin at a stakeholders meeting with political parties, INEC electoral officers in the 16 local government areas, and the commissioner believes. He said the commission would monitor the primaries of each political party that provided the required legal notice in line with the Electoral Act. Madami warned that failure of a political party to notify the Commission of any convention or Congress convened to nominate candidates for any of the elective offices specified in the Act will render the convention or Congress invalid. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission has published personal particulars and list of candidates for the Osun State governorship election slated for July 16. In a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, the Commission said the list was published at its state and local government offices in the state as required by law. The published candidates include Adeboyega Yaudietala of the All Progressives Congress, Adeleke Nuruddin of the People's Democratic Party, and Omibodun Akinrinola of the Social Democratic Party. He, however, reminded political parties that under the Electoral Act 2022, any party that observed that the name of its candidate was missing from the list should notify the Commission in writing. In a separate development, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has established the Department of Internal Affairs in the agency. In a tweet on its official handle, the anti-graft agency said the department dealt with any form of misconduct by staff. It called on the public to report any misconduct by staff to the agency. Elsewhere, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has announced that 677 drug traffickers have been jailed and 3,359 of them arrested in the first quarter from January through March 2022. This was conveyed in a statement by the NDLEA Director, Media and Advocacy, Femi Babafemi. Babafemi noted that Lagos had the highest figure for drug seizures with 22,192 kilograms of illicit substances recovered from parts of the state. He commended the officers of the agency and urged them not to rest on their oars. The NDLEA director assured the officers that every outstanding performance would always attract commensurate commendation and reward. Away from that, 26 persons have been confirmed dead following a boat mishap on Shagari River in Shagari local government area of Sokoto State. Chairman of Shagari Council area Aliyu Dantani confirmed the accident to newsmen in Sokoto. Dantani noted that out of the 26 recovered corpses, 21 were women, while 5 were children. He added that a search and rescue mission was still ongoing. On security matters now, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has announced that all rank-and-file policemen across the country who have remained in the same rank since 2017 will be promoted by tomorrow. The IGP was addressing officers and policemen of Zone 7 headquarters during his familiarization visit and commissioning of projects. He warned security operatives to be mindful of who they associate with and where they go, noting that security agencies, including the military, had become endangered species. The IGP promised the personnel that their welfare remained paramount to him. Still on security, bandits have invaded a residential area in Safi town and abducted 5 students of the College of Health, Science and Technology, Safi, Zamfara State. One of the abductees reportedly escaped from the abductors. The provost of the college, Yusuf Idris, who confirmed the incident, said the student sustained injuries and was receiving medical attention at the Safi General Hospital. He said the abductors had contacted a mother to one of the victims, threatening to marry her if the ransom was not paid. Yusuf appealed to the parents of the kidnapped students to remain calm, as the school authority and security agencies were working to ensure the safe return of the abductees. In Plateau State, another 23 bodies have been discovered from the Sunday attack by bandits on Kanam Local Council, raising the death toll to 101. Reports say mass burial has been conducted for over 70 of those who were killed.
Route of Plateau South and the chairman, Kanam Local Council, Dr. Dayabu Gaga, yesterday condemned the Sunday attack. Senator Dimka, on a condolence visit to Kanam Local Council bus, described the massive killing and wanton destruction of properties as disheartening, sad and unfortunate, calling on the federal government to come to the rescue of the state. He also called on security agencies to intensify efforts by investigating the masterminds of the killing and bring them to justice. Also, Senator Dadut urged the federal government to expeditiously apprehend the perpetrators of the act and bring them to book. According to reports, the bodies were also buried in a mass burial on Tuesday. Hanson Oko, Spectrum Television News.
Back here, Governor Damimanio has consulted the PDP caucus in the Senate and House of Representatives over his presidential ambition. In separate consultations in Abuja, Governor Manio told the federal lawmakers that his decision to run for the office was in response to the call by a media organization, the Brekete Family Human Rights Radio and Television. He said several Nigerians who listened to the media interview contributed money and helped purchase the presidential nomination forms, urging him to run. Governor Manio told the lawmakers that he decided to run because he believed in his capacity to make Nigeria safe, peaceful, attract investments, and become economically vibrant. Still in Akwa Ibom, Frank Akpan, the father of the first accused in the alleged murder of a University of Uyo graduate and job seeker in Newbong Omoren, has claimed that his son is schizophrenic and is an outpatient of the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital. The father also said he was neither aware of late Omoren's murder nor that her body was exhumed in his compound in Uran local government area. Frank Akban, a retired civil servant and second accused person, was giving evidence in his defense before the Uyo High Court, presided by Justice Basi Nkanang. Meanwhile, business owners in Akwa Ibom State have identified the high cost of petroleum products in the country as one of the major reasons for a rise in the cost of living. Speaking with Spectrum Television correspondent, the people decried constant hike in the products and appealed to government to come to their aid as soon as possible. Our correspondent has a report.
Electricity sector in the country has made a lot of people, especially business owners, depend on using alternative source of power, which includes petroleum-powered generators for their businesses. The sudden rise in price of petroleum products have put unprecedented stress on businesses, thereby threatening economic activities. Business people within Uyo Metropolis who spoke with Spectrum Television decried the state of electric sector and how it should have cushioned the effects of the petroleum hike. They urged the government to look into the situation immediately by reducing the price of premium motor spirits, popularly known as fuel, and diesel, so it can properly serve as an alternative source of power.
Going to use generator or whatever, you notice that the cost of diesels and maintenance will be high. It's even affecting the masses because in terms of the price of the ice block now, if you do not sell like 200 now, you will not be able to meet up.
We don't used to have lights again, not like before. So every day we are running generator, buying fuel. The scarcity of fuel, a liter of fuel 200 naira. The solution for it now, if government at least can bring everything to be normal.
Fuel is a catalyst to every business drive here in Nigeria and everywhere around the world. So a situation you have a fuel hike, in a system today, definitely it's going to hike everything. It's going to destabilize the economy and it's going to pose kind of hardship, to the citizenry.
There is an obvious need for deliberate government action to stabilize the petroleum sector as soon as possible. Balancing the supply-demand scale will ease the harsh economic effects this will have on businesses, and the resulting rise in the cost of inflation on the masses can be avoided. Edidion Martin reporting.
Still to come in the news. SEC accuses Nigerian financial technology float a wave of fraud. Stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In Africa, at least 12 journalists have been arrested outside the main prison in Hargeisa, capital of the breakaway state of Somaliland, as they reported on riots taking place inside. Several of them were said to have been live on air when the security forces came to detain them. News crews had rushed to the jail after shots were heard from the prison this morning. The authorities say the situation at the prison is now calm, but the journalists remain in custody. Somaliland and Somalia often come in for criticism for mistakes, especially when they try to report stories which are received as negative. Still in Africa, Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has announced the resignation of his Prime Minister Patrick Archie and that of his government. Ouattara made the announcement during a cabinet meeting. The president said he had decided to decrease the number of ministers in the government from 41 to 30, as well as reduce state spending. This reshuffle had been in discussion since the beginning of the year, and the president said he would name a new prime minister next week. Archie was appointed to the post in March last year, following the death of his predecessor, Hamed Bakayoko. Elsewhere, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has visited the coastal province of KwaZulu-Natal, where key roads are shut and mudslides have reportedly destroyed homes. The incidents followed prolonged rains. KwaZulu-Natal's Health Minister Nomagugu Simelane said death toll from the floods had climbed to more than 250, with the rain expected to weaken today. Ramaphosa said he would assess the response of government and civil societies and offer support to affected communities. Still in Africa, Algeria has accused Morocco of killing 3 people in an attack in the disputed region of Western Sahara. The Algerian Foreign Ministry said Moroccan forces shelled a commercial convoy on the border between Algeria and Mauritania. Meanwhile, neither Morocco nor Mauritania have commented on the allegation. Reports say tensions have increased in recent months between the two countries, culminating in Algeria breaking off diplomatic relations last August. On the foreign scene, the International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor Karim Khan, who has been visiting the Ukrainian town of Bucha, has said the country was a crime scene. He told reporters that there were reasonable grounds to believe that crimes within the jurisdiction of the court were being committed. Khan said it was important to pierce the FOG of war to get to the truth through independent and impartial investigation. He added that an International Criminal Court's forensic team was to begin work in the town. Bucha is said to have been the scene of hundreds of civilian killings, which Ukraine has blamed on the Russian forces which occupied it for weeks. But Russia has denied responsibility for the deaths. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has accused Russia of using phosphorus bombs in Ukraine and deploying terror tactics against civilians. Addressing the Estonian parliament, Zelensky said the Russian army was using all types of artillery, particularly phosphorus bombs, against residential districts and civilian infrastructure. Meanwhile, Russia has denied targeting civilians since it invaded Ukraine on February 24 and has said Ukrainian and Western allegations of war crimes were fabricated. In a related development, U.S. President Joe Biden has accused Vladimir Putin's forces of committing genocide in Ukraine, where Russia is intensifying its campaign to take the strategic port city of Mariupol. Biden's accusation comes as Moscow was already accused by the West of widespread atrocities against civilians. Still on the Ukrainian crisis, French presidential candidate Marine Le Pen says she will propose closer relations between NATO and Russia if she wins power. At a news conference, the far-right politician called for a strategic rapprochement between the two sides once the war in Ukraine was over. She said she would pull France out of NATO's military command structure if she proved victorious. Le Pen, however, said she would continue to respect a key NATO pact under which an attack on one member of the military alliance is seen as an attack on all 30 members. The presidential hopeful will battle Emmanuel Macron for the presidency in a runoff election later this month. In the meantime, Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin says her country will decide whether to apply to join NATO within weeks. At a joint news conference alongside Magdalena Andersson, who is her Swedish counterpart, Marin said she saw no reason to delay the decision. Her comments coincided with a report to the Finnish parliament that said membership of the bloc could result in increased tensions on the border between Finland and Russia. Meanwhile, Russia has warned Finland and Sweden against joining NATO in recent weeks. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden. Okay.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. It is another business day. My name is Blyden Ukem. In the news, we begin with UK's inflation, as rates hit 7%, highest since 1992. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Annual inflation rate in the UK has increased to 7% in March of 2022, above market forecast of 6.7%, the highest since March of 1992, from 6.2% in February. According to data, the largest upward pressure came from motor fuels and petrol costs, with prices mostly collected before the recent cuts in fuel duty. Cost of transport has the biggest recorded increase at 13.4% against 11.5% in February, followed by furniture and household services at 10.3% against 9.1%, clothing and footwear 9.8% against 8.9%, housing and utilities 7.7% against 7.2%, restaurants and hotels at 6.9% against 5%, and food and non-alcoholic beverages 5.9% against 5.1% in February. Meanwhile, the British government already announced a fuel duty reduction of 5 pence per litre for 12 months, beginning from March 24th. As reported, the aim is to alleviate households, but inflation will likely stay high for a while, reducing the purchasing power parity as the war in Ukraine is far from over and energy costs remain high while supply constraints persist. Let's have a look at inflation in Ghana. Ghana's annual inflation rate, the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time, has accelerated for the 10th consecutive month to 19.4% in March of 2022 from 15.7% in February, the highest rate since August of 2009, breaching the Bank of Ghana's target band of 6% to 10% for the 7th month. Food price growth went up to 22.4% from 17.4% in February, driven by cooking oil, water and cereal products. Non-food inflation also climbed to 17% from 14.5%. Prices of transportation and fuel were at 27.6%, and housing and utilities reached 21.4%. On a monthly basis, consumer prices surged by 4%, the most since January of 2016, after the Bank of Ghana lifted its key interest rate by a massive 250 basis points to 17% on March 21st, stating that the already high inflation was worsened by the Russia-Ukraine war. Meanwhile, the government has announced spending cuts to tackle inflation, to reduce the deficit and restore a depreciating local currency. Let's look at employment standards in Nigeria as LinkedIn releases list of 25 best places to work in Nigeria. The world's largest professional networking platform, LinkedIn, has revealed its list of the best places to work in Nigeria for 2022. According to LinkedIn, the top 4 organizations are Access Bank, Guarantee Trust Bank, Stanbic IBTC, and Zenith Bank. Other Nigerian companies on the list included information technology, consumer goods, food and beverages, oil and gas, telecommunications, professional services, and internet services firms. Companies that were eligible for the ranking included firms with at least 500 employees as of December 31st, 2021, and an attrition rate no higher than 10% from January to December 2021. Companies with layoffs of more than 10% of their workforce during that time, based on public announcements, were not considered in the ranking. Let's look at the situation with Nigeria's fintech, as SEC accuses Flutterwave of fraud. An investigative report has accused one of Nigeria's largest tech unicorn, Flutterwave, of insider trading, fraud, and perjury that has taken place for over 4 years. The report accuses Olubenga Agbola, co-founder of Flutterwave, a former Access Bank employee, of engaging in impersonation and inappropriate behaviors. Access Bank has been dragged into these allegations. As reported, Agbola's LinkedIn profile says he left Access Bank in 2016, but the bank's official document showed that as of 2017 and 2018, he was still an employee of the bank. He was portraying himself as a member of the bank during the Flutterwave investor meeting, while advising his business partner, Adeleke Adekoya, to also act as Access Bank staff during another meeting without the knowledge of the bank. This double dealing led to U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission SEC to probe Access Bank and Flutterwave deals. Flutterwave was also said to have stopped remitting payment to Web Acquired and Switch fees, amounting to 221.10 million naira for all RavePay transactions done by the fintech firm between April 2016 to August 2018. Meanwhile, Flutterwave was receiving and transferring a percentage of Access Bank's funds to its own company account before the act was discovered by an audit during the merger of Access and Diamond Bank, according to reports. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market report. The bulls are still dominating proceedings. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark All-Share Index climbed 162.28 basis points to close at 47,367.31 points. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 60% improvement in volume, 117% improvement in turnover, as well as 7% decline in deals. In aggregate, 108 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 31 gainers and 16 losers. Maya led the gainers with 9.56% share price appreciation, closing at 1.49 naira per share, while Suno Assurances Nigeria came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 7.69% at 0.36 naira per share. Guarantee Trust Holding recorded the highest volume of 65.9 million traded shares. This is all on business news, and over to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Biden. Still to come in the news. Ecuador line up Super Eagles friendly ahead of World Cup. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In health, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) is calling on all people to join in efforts to reduce the risk of Lassa fever infection and spread in Nigerian communities. The agency advised the people to eliminate rats in homes and communities using rat traps. It also asked Nigerians to block all holes in their houses to prevent the entry of rats. It is over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. We begin from tennis, where Sebastian Korda earned the biggest win of the season earlier today at the Rolex Monte Carlo Masters, edging next United Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz 7-6, 6-7, 6-3 to reach the third round. World number 11, Alcaraz arrived in Monte Carlo in red-hot form, having captured his maiden ATP Masters 1000 crown in Miami. However, the 18-year-old, who was making his debut at the clay courts event, was unable to cope with Korda's heavy-hitting variety at the windy conditions on court Rainier 3. Korda gained revenge for his defeat to Alcaraz at the 2021 Intesa San Paulo Next Gen ATP Finals, where the Spaniard triumphed in the championship match. The world number 42 next face Indian world champion Taylor Fritz or Croatian Marin Cilic as he aims to reach his second quarterfinal of the season after advancing to the last 8 in Delray Beach. In basketball, an MRI earlier today confirmed that Maverick superstar Luka Doncic suffered a left calf strain in the regular season finale, the team announced. No timetable has been set for his recovery, but the Mavs have not ruled him out for Saturday's afternoon's Game 1 against the Utah Jazz. Spencer Dinwiddie, who started if Doncic is unavailable. Dinwiddie has averaged 15.8 points and 3.9 assists in 23 games for the Mavs, primarily serving as a sixth man since being acquired as part of the Kristaps Porzingis trade the deadline day with the Washington Wizards. Doncic, first-team All-NBA selection the past 2 seasons, averaged 28.5 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 8.7 assists per game this season. Now to football, where Ecuador have lined up a friendly against the Super Eagles of Nigeria ahead of the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. According to CanadaFootball.com, negotiations are going well between the Ecuadorian Football Federation and the Nigerian Football Federation over the friendly. The date, time and venue of the friendly will be decided soon. La Tri will also come up against another African team in Tunisia and Mexico in friendly games ahead of Qatar 2022. The South Americans, who will be making their 4th appearance at the Mondial, will face host Qatar, Senegal, and Netherlands in Group A. Still in football, Ajax boss Erik ten Hag is on the brink of being confirmed as Manchester United's new manager. United say no deal has been done, but sources in the Netherlands suggest an agreement in principle is in place. The Dutchman, who is 52, replaced Ralf Rangnick, who was appointed interim manager in November following Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's dismissal. PSG's former sports manager, Mauricio Pochettino, had been the other leading candidate. Official confirmation of Ten Hag's appointment is not expected before Ajax's Dutch Cup final against PSV Eindhoven on Sunday. Ajax lead the Eredivisie by 4 points from PSV as they aim to win their 3rd Dutch league title under Erik ten Hag. And that's it from the sports desk this evening. I am Bright James. Over to Vito Bryan for Entertainment News.
Thanks, Bright James. Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Vito Bryan. First in our bulletin this evening, Jack Harlow's First Class becomes fastest selling single of 2022. Jack Harlow dropped the new single First Class on Friday, April 8th, and it has already become the fastest selling single of the year. He performed the new song as part of a medley on the 2022 Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards Saturday, April 9th, along with Nail Tech and Industry Baby. Pop Crave reported on Sunday, April 10, that First Class has already sold over 100,000 units in the US, becoming the fastest-selling single of the year 2022. Away from that, and now back here in Nigeria, Senate President has warned Multi-Choice Nigeria over tariff hike. Ahmad Lawan, the President of the Senate, has warned Multi-Choice Nigeria against the proposed increase in the tariffs of its products. Lawan advised the company not to increase the tariff while the matter is being investigated. The Senate President said this while inaugurating a 7-member MAN ad hoc committee headed by Senate Deputy Chief Whip Alihu Sabi Abdullahi to look into the matter. He emphasized that the foreign operators should not take Nigeria for granted. Recall that the committee inaugurated by Lawan was set up last month following the announcement by Multi-Choice that intended to increase the prices of DSTV and GoTV packages. In a statement by his special advisor media, Ola Awoniyi, on Tuesday, April 12, 2022, the Senate President said sternly, warning Multi-Choice not to dare the federal government. He said no operator should take the government for granted, that the government means business and they want them to be here in Nigeria, noting that Nigeria always provides the climate for them to do business, but they should not abuse the laws of the country. He also included that consumers here are people who are innocent and they are prepared to protect them. Meanwhile, he did demand that they do not increase any tariffs in this regard. Meanwhile, a competitor on consumer protection CCP tribunal sitting in Abuja has restrained Multi-Choice Nigeria Limited from increasing its tariff. The tribunal has also adjourned the hearing on its jurisdiction to entertain a suit filed against Multi-Choice Nigeria by a lawyer, Festus Onifade, and the Coalition of Consumers of Nigeria to May 5, 2022. The 3-man member tribunal includes Sola Salako Ajulo, Ibrahim El Yakubu, and Thomas Okonsun, who is the head of the tribunal. Finally, from the entertainment desk this evening, Fast and Furious 10, Brie Larson is set to join the family, according to Vin Diesel. Marvel star Brie Larson, best known for her role as Captain Marvel in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, is bringing her firepower to Fast and Furious franchise in what will be its 10th and final film. Vin Diesel took to Instagram on Saturday night to announce the Oscar winner Brie Larson's casting in Fast and Furious 10. Larson's role has not yet been revealed, but it seems pretty obvious she will be replacing The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. It will be recalled back in November last year, Diesel publicly called out the formerly WWE star to replace his role as Lucas Hobbs, who appeared in Fast and Furious 5 down to 8th, including the spin-off Hobbs and Shaw, to return for the 10th and final installment. Although speculations were high for Rock's return, they were met with disappointment as the Red Notice star clearly stressed in an interview on his decision to make his exit from the Fast saga. Details concerning the plot of Fast and Furious 10 have been kept under the wraps. In addition to Diesel, Larson will star alongside previously announced cast members, including Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Michelle Rodriguez, Sung Kang, Jason Momoa, Daniela Michoy. Justin Lin is still set to be the director, producing alongside Diesel, with the film set to arrive in theaters next year. That's our package from the entertainment desk. I am Beto Bryan, wishing you a happy Ramadan and Easter. Over to Xavier Roberts.
Well, that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. And you have a terrific night rest.